Woof.
Woof.
Stuck in the middle with you.
Doo-doo. Welcome to the second episode of No You.
No.
Comma you.
You.
No you.
Suck at
I'm
saying
gonna forget it every time. You know I have a bad memory.
No.
And yet I
You.
declare that I have a good memory.
Because you've got a bad memory.
Because I have a bad memory and I declare it. That's how it works.
No.
So yeah, last episode we got into the love languages and other assorted topics that I forget.
I also forget. I feel like...
yeah, some chat room talk.
Oh, well, we talked about like how we met. And
how we met on Tinder, probably like the important things.
Yeah.
See, I remembered.
You remember
ish.
Yeah, no, we talked about how we met and we talked about the love languages.
Yeah, the love languages.
The love languages.
And so, what's today? Thursday? Yeah, today's Thursday.
Yes.
It is 2 days after Valentine's Day, so
Two.
in a very sporty fashion, we are going to talk about Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
Woo!
Very timely, very keen.
Very timely. And so yeah, we're going to, I guess, go into what we did on Valentine's Day as a couple, because it may be a little bit different than what other couples did.
Which was literally nothing.
It was literally nothing.
We did nothing. Well,
I mean, we binge watched Netflix. Which
we did.
Probably like 80% of the population
people did. Well, I mean, you work a full-time job, and I'm a full-time student with a part-time job, and like an internship, and so that's a very real reality that like we face. And so I had class, and you had work and like life. Yeah. So I mean, it's not like there was just like ample time that we just like didn't not spend. I mean, we hung out.
Yeah. I mean, we did certainly hang out.
Yeah, we hung out.
That is what we did. And so,
but we had like a discussion for sure before Valentine's Day, and I was like, because this is our first Valentine's Day together, and I was like, do you super care about Valentine's Day?
Right. We kind of fell into that discussion of, do you want to get each other anything? No.
Good.
Which is a trap.
It's not a trap.
It's a trap. No
It's
one
not a
ever
trap.
wins, because if you don't get the person something, then they're kind of sad.
I don't.
But then
agree.
if you did, they're like, we told you. We said we were going to get each other anything.
I don't agree. I think it's not a trap. I think it's just like different people. We talked about it last week. Like our love languages, like gifts are not very high on the totem pole of
Not
things
at all.
that
Literal zero.
that matter to us. So I don't know. We did what was important to us, which was like spending quality time together and just like holding hands.
We did hold hands, yeah, and then which I think your parents did something, right?
Yeah, I think they went out. I think they like went on a date. They saw La La
Gaga
Land. Yeah, I think they
with
went on a date
Lady Gaga.
with the halftime show with Lady Gaga.
That's great.
Yeah, so they did something, which is nice and lovely, but like we just,
Yeah, and I mean, I guess to be fair, we did just kind of get back from Philly.
Yeah, and like I even said explicitly, I was just like, we can wrap up like we've been dating for a little while and Valentine's Day and all of this thing into one trip.
One Philadelphia package.
One little package. And I mean, that satisfied my quality time and blah, 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 and all the stuff I like to do with you in one little package.
In one little
One
package.
little trip.
Yeah, same with me. It satisfied my quality time, and then my little historic fascination.
Your
and
real
walking around
historic
and
fascination.
exploring.
I don't know. I mean, those kind of trips and those kind of things with you are going to always mean more than like some flowers.
Yeah, like some gift. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, they always mean more to me than.
But yeah, and then we had discussed that we weren't going to get each other anything, and then what did you do?
I'm gonna fight you. Okay, so I had to go to the eye doctor, and by my eye doctor, there's a bakery, and I stopped in and I got a brownie because I wanted to like enjoy a snack, which we do. We do most of like we love eating together. It's just like a thing that we do a lot of.
I think you're thinly veiling it as a snack.
It was
because
a snack.
This was premeditated. You texted me earlier that day and you said, "Hey, are you going to be home tonight? When you getting home? Because I have something planned." You specifically said, "I have something planned."
I said,
what was that? It was a gift.
I said I have a small scheme of just eating snacks and watching Shameless.
You didn't say eating snacks and watching Shameless.
But it was part of my scheme.
Okay, I'll let it slide.
So I bought a brownie. It was a little heart-shaped brownie, and we ate a brownie.
With strawberries.
Apparently the most romantic fruit. It was not romantic.
It's the most romantic fruit, besides banana.
Yeah, oh, gross. I don't know. I did not think of it as a gift. I just thought of it as something we could enjoy together. And he was like, you got me a gift? How could you get me a gift? And I was like, that's not a gift.
Oh, no, your dad agreed.
So we had
a win in my book.
A win in Ethan's book. So we had a slight Valentine's disagreement.
A slight Valentine's disagreement. But yeah, I mean, I thought it'd be cool to kind of kick off here with what kinds of things have you done for Valentine's Day in the past? And it doesn't have to be like specifically. So like with this person, I did this.
Yeah.
It could just be like did you buy each other stuff, or did you go out on some romantic trip, or was it just kind of we stayed at home and
I think
Netflix?
The last time I was in a relationship on Valentine's Day, we like saw a movie and then hung out with friends after the movie. We went, it was kind of like a double date situation, and we just spent the day with them, I guess. And it was fine. Wasn't a big deal. I've never been one into like big, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't celebrate monthly anniversaries, and I'm talking us here, like him and I, Ethan and I,
not the world,
not the world, but like, for example, us, we don't celebrate like monthly anniversaries or really, any kind of like those things. We just kind of like celebrate the little things. We just like, we're just like hanging out, and I don't know, we just like every day
and living our lives.
Living our little lives.
Yeah.
Like when exciting, I feel I'm gonna brag about you. Like Ethan's like got a paper, like not a paper, what is it? An article.
It's an article.
Got an article published, and I like baked a cake. Like that kind of thing is exciting for me. I don't, it wasn't. I don't know. We just don't celebrate the traditional things, I guess.
Right. Yeah. It's not like we have something on the calendar, like a big date, and then we celebrate that. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess there's like Christmas and birthdays and stuff will do that, but, but there will be holidays where it's, I mean, Valentine's Day, for example, it's just kind of, I mean, to me, just a day.
Yeah.
And you probably feel the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's, because I remember I was at work, and it was well into the afternoon, and I was just kind of like, oh, it's Valentine's Day.
I was in class. I was just like, oh, yeah. Word.
Yeah, word. But I actually think that might be the first relationship where it's gotten so late into the afternoon, and that's when I thought about it.
Uh-huh.
And it, like, the whole day, it just slipped my mind.
Uh-huh.
Because I guess in the past, it's been like, I had things planned.
Mm-hmm.
And by things, I mean at most like a romantic dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably bought the person flowers, or not flowers, but like the standard chocolates. But yeah, this was the first time that I guess it wasn't just like a huge deal, or like something that we circled on the calendar and then said, yeah, we're gonna go do something that day, or like make a huge deal out of it.
Yeah, I don't know if that makes us a bad couple, though.
I don't know, does it?
I don't know.
We're awful people.
I don't know. It's not important to me. I don't know. Like I said, I celebrate like the little things with you, and that's all I care about. I don't know. And like, I don't know. That's about it. Those are like my thoughts on Valentine's Day. I thought I'd have like more to say, but I just don't. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was just a day that kind of came and went, really. And I get, I mean, I was probably on Facebook that day, but I remember seeing just, like, all the standard Valentine's Day posts,
Mm-hmm.
and look what my significant other got me, and all that kinds of stuff. But yeah, to me, it wasn't that big a deal this time around.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing.
I just like don't feel the need to advertise our love. I don't mean that in like a shitty way. To people who do that, I just don't feel the need to do that as a person.
Yeah.
It's not.
I'm kind of the same way.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not on the top of my list, and like just like the people who are closest and like that I hold nearest and dearest to my heart, they're the people who are like, you're just so happy all the time, and you're just like you're so whatever, and that's because I'm in a happy place, and I'm with a person who makes me happy, and I don't feel like I have to advertise it because people who know me just know that I'm happier.
Right.
Yeah, not happier, but just I don't know, in a good space.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like you don't have to put it out there because I mean it's something that you know.
Yeah.
And well, I guess in this case it's something that we know because I kind of do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. I like made a silly post, like I sang a song because as I do as a human, I like made a silly post on Instagram, but it wasn't like to the sun and to the moon and
to the moon
stars.
And the stars.
Like you are my lifeblood and my happiness. I was just like, here's how I feel about you sometimes, and you're a nice, beautiful person. I don't know.
Sometimes. Nice, beautiful person.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for that compliment and your song.
Yeah.
And so this, I guess, leads me into my next question. So we talked about what we did 2 days ago, and then kind of what we've done in the past with other relationships and Valentine's Day. So if you were to plan something or have like your perfect gift for Valentine's Day, what do you think it would be? And it even could be as simple as like just hanging out with that person or like planning a day to hang out with that person.
Well, I think my perfect Valentine's Day, or like my ideal Valentine's Day, would be on a weekend, because we wouldn't have work interfering with us, and it would just be a day, I mean, kind of like ones that we've spent similarly in the past where it's, we're in some small historic town that like no one cares about, and we've walked around, and you talk about the history of it and tell me things that I didn't know, and we have like a nice lunch or like a picnic or something, and we just like spend time like meandering and holding hands in the afternoon. That's it. That's all it's
Yeah, I mean,
that's ideal.
Yeah, I would probably say the same thing because it's, I mean, as we kind of talked about last episode with gifts and how that's really low on priorities. Yeah, my perfect Valentine's Day gift wouldn't be like an item. It would be like going, maybe like booking a room somewhere in like a small town, like you said, and just exploring that town or whatever's outside of it.
Yeah. Those are my favorite times with you, or when it's just the two of us and we're someplace we've never been before, or, someplace that we're both interested in seeing things in, and we're just excited to be together and explore things.
Yeah, or it would be like buying a tent and then camping.
I'm so excited for it to get warm.
Right? But camping in like a big national park where you have,
I'm so excited.
I mean, almost like the Rockies where you just have huge mountain ranges
and we can hike
huge lakes to explore. Yeah.
I'm so excited. Oh.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time. I hope it gets warmer soon.
Me too.
So we can go out and hike Rosie.
And hike my babe.
The babe.
Yeah, and just like camping, I'm so excited to camp and just like be outside, and I'm so stoked.
I don't know if I've ever camped before, like in a tent.
I went with a dear friend of mine for my birthday weekend last year, and we had not had I have not had a bunch of camping under my belt, i.e. like tent camping. I've done like RV, like trailer camping and like cabin camping, but it was fun and an experience, and definitely worthwhile. We hiked one of my favorite mountains to hike, and then we stayed in the national park not far by, and it was so fun. It was so good.
Yeah, I want to go there sometime.
Yeah,
since it's within like 3 hours or something.
It is, yeah, and it's so beautiful. It's like the largest exposed like granite mountaintop in like the tri-state area or something.
Yeah.
So
maybe that'll be our first trip.
Camping trip.
First camping trip when spring hits.
Oh, I'm so excited. And Shenandoah National Park's not far from there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So for some reason I thought that was the park you're talking about. But I know,
that's the park where we stayed, but the mountain is...
Gotcha. Yeah. Old Wreck. Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Sorry, I feel like we're on a tangent on, like, planning our next trip.
Dude, we just planned our trip.
Which is not what this podcast is about.
Podcast is about planning trips and recommending trips to take. It's not about relationships at all.
I don't know. I think, like, just in conclusion, it's not... I felt so much the need to, like, advertise my relationships and, like, how, like, into the other person was, and, like, oh, he got me this, and, like, isn't that so wonderful, and blah, blah, blah. But the real mark for myself has just been, like, how much people comment on my overall, like, demeanor, and how they're just like, you're glowing, you're so happy, you're just so happy. And, you know, I didn't understand what that felt like, I think, until I was in a relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, see, what we should do is, if we were going to celebrate Valentine's Day in a traditional fashion, or, like, buy each other gifts or something, save it for a few days after when everything's on sale.
Absolutely. Do you know how discounted candy is right now?
Exactly.
Oh, man.
And if I was to buy you roses, I mean, that's insane what the price hike is on Valentine's Day.
It's true.
Yeah. I mean, this is anecdotal, but I mean, I think it's at least 2 or 3 times the normal price.
That's so silly.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, in conclusion on that one, listeners, if you want to send us what you did on Valentine's Day, or, like, what you think Valentine's Day means to you, yeah, that'd be really great. We'd love to hear your stories. Or if you have, it's like a crazy romantic Valentine's Day story that you want to get off your chest, send it our way. We'd love to listen and, like, read them.
I love hearing what people did on Valentine's Day. I love, and I love seeing how happy people are in their relationships. I feel like I made it. I, like, painted this very cynical picture of how of, like, how I feel, and I don't mean it like that at all. I love seeing what people do and how happy they are in their relationships, and that fulfills my little soul specifically. But just got a sweet little email. But yeah, I don't know. It's just not. It's just different. It's this relationship is just different in general. I don't know why, and I don't know how to describe it to anyone. I don't have any answers for people most of the time.
Yeah, so this relationship is different from your previous ones, or like ones you compare to other people. Yeah. Is that because like of our dynamic? Because to the listeners out there, she is objectively the extrovert, and then I am objectively the introvert.
Truly.
And so I guess there's this dynamic where those two are maybe clashing isn't the right word, but, like, they're going with each other, and, like, I mean, I guess at times they might butt heads. I don't know if you've encountered that or not.
As silly as it sounds, it's a give and take, you know? I take what I need from your introverted side, and I hold on to that, and that makes me calmer, and you make me a calmer, less crazy person. I think I mentioned, like, earlier in the first podcast, of how I don't feel the need to be on all the time around you, and I don't feel the need to fill silence all the time and be whatever all the time. And I gather a lot of that from you, and that you just make me feel calmer and more centered. And I mean, I don't know what you get from my...
I get nothing! No, I mean, I would say the same thing. I mean, obviously vice versa. Yeah, because me being the introvert, I guess I can take the qualities of your extrovertedness and then use those to, like, get out more, or talk to people more, or, like, try to be more excitable, or, like,
excitable is a good word.
Thank you. 10 points. Or, like, find more excitement in life, or in, like, the random things, I guess. So yeah, I mean, having an introvert and an extrovert in the same relationship, to me, is just, it's just a really good balance, because with 2 extroverts, you're not bouncing off the walls all the time, jumping off cliffs. And with 2 introverts, you're not exactly just sitting in a room in silence doing nothing.
Yeah. Well, what has your past experience been like? Similar or different or?
I'm trying to think. I don't know if so the previous people that I've dated, it would be, I was the more introverted one, but then they were introverted too, but like less so than I was.
Right. Well, there's such a thing as being an ambivert and needing that time for yourself, but then also in social settings, being able to pull and gather your energy from those people. So that's like a very real thing that not a lot of people, I think, recognize or label themselves as, because I think that a lot of times people are like, oh, it's one or the other. It's one or the other.
Yeah,
and
it's black or white.
Yeah. And I'm very much an extrovert. And I think that you're very much an introvert. But there are those people who are right in the middle. So
yeah. Yeah. And then, I mean, because when I was an RA in college, I mean, there were a lot of times where I had to pull in at my very keenly hidden extroverted abilities that I hide on purpose. Not really. But yeah, a lot of times we would have to pull those out, like with icebreakers or getting to meet new residents. And it's just a territory that is, I don't know if I would say uncomfortable, but it's just not where I usually am every day. It's just a territory that I'm not used to. But yeah, and then, I mean, I guess applying that to this relationship, it's, again, I can kind of pull in your extrovertedness and then use that to amplify my own inner extrovertedness, if that makes sense. To not be like, not be boring all the time and not be so quiet like 24/7.
See, but that's what's so interesting to me is that I don't think you're boring, and I think that the fact that you're an introvert doesn't make you boring.
Right.
Like,
I wouldn't say that.
Right. I mean, I think so often people label themselves, if they do kind of get their energy from themselves and not from others, they think that they're boring, or they think that like that book you get. I finished that book. What is that?
Yeah, it's Quiet by Susan Cain.
Yeah, and so I think that we've kind of trained society to think that extrovert is the standard that we have to strive to be, when in reality, I wish that I could pull in some of those more introverted qualities to myself, because I don't think that that's the end all be all and like what you should strive to be, and needing to be this like energetic, charismatic, I don't know, whatever the word is. Charismatic, charismatic.
I like charismatic. Let's go with that.
Charismatic individual 100% of the time. It's exhausting.
Yeah, I would highly recommend that book.
Yeah, it's really good.
Quiet by Susan Cain. Susan Cain, not Stephen King.
Listen.
No, you can keep that book. But yeah, it's she talks about something, because like society places this notion on us that like the extroverts are the ones who are always doing
and things, will come out on top,
and will always come out on top, and the loudest people are more or less the best and the most successful, when in fact a lot of the movers and shakers in the world are introverts. It's just they pull in those extroverted abilities and they use them when they need to use them.
Yeah.
But then after all of their success for the day, and then after all of their business meetings and being extroverted for 12 to 15 hours, possibly more, they go home and they have their introverted time.
Yeah.
And they are very much so introverts.
And I think that while the diversity in our relationship is lovely and amazing, and like what makes me so attracted to you and XYZ, like I think that also is going to be our biggest opportunity in this relationship. Like when, down the line, like when things, like you're going to need your time to collect yourself, and where I'm 100% always like, hi, I miss you. What's up? How are you doing? Like you're going to need that time to recharge yourself, and you're going to need to like shut me out for an hour or so. We've had that conversation of that, like, if we ever lived together, you would need just like an hour or two a day to just like live your life, and I'll have to leave you alone because it would be too much for your sweet little introverted soul. Like, it would just be a little shock, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
It's very true.
Which even if you weren't as extroverted as you are,
you would need it anyway.
I think we would both need that time, because I think it's hard living with a person and seeing that person all the time.
And I've never, and I don't know, I don't think you have, but I haven't. I've never lived romantically with another individual. I've lived with roommates like in college, and I've lived obviously with my family members, and those are all dynamics that you kind of learn to work with, I think. But I think that living romantically with a partner is just like another ballpark that like you have. And I don't know if people really put the thought into it. They're just like, oh, we're going to live together, and we're like going to eat our dinners together, and we're just going to like go and
be together all the time.
Yeah, and we'll wake up next to each other, and it's going to be so rosy and amazing. But part of loving, and this is just my opinion, but part of loving someone is loving them even when you don't like them. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
Like, even the idea of like, and I got this 100% from Parks and Rec, but like when in their vows or whatever, they're like, I love you and I like you. Like, loving and liking someone are two very different things. And I think that choosing to love someone even when you don't like them, even when you've asked them to like fold the laundry and they haven't done it, and even when you've asked them to do the dishes and they haven't done them, like, you're still going to choose to love them even though you don't like them right now.
Right. Yeah, and that's kind of like the work aspect of a relationship. It's not all Disney fairy tales.
Exactly.
I mean, there is some work that you have to put into these kinds of things. It's not all just kind of it's not all there. I mean, of course, there's that foundation and there's that initial.
And I mean, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing now, is building that foundation so that later, down the line, it's not just going to crumble the second, that first box is set down in the apartment, and it's like, how dare you put that in the middle of my apartment? Like, we've set up a mutual, like, love and respect for each other that even when we don't like each other, we'll still love each other, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and then
even though that sounds bad, like, I'll always, I'll like you.
Like you.
I like you.
And then I guess one of my biggest fears.
Cool! I'm so excited.
Oh, fears.
Let's talk about this.
I guess, one of my biggest relationship fears, like with moving in romantically with
it's so scary. That's a big, anyway, I'll let you finish.
Yeah, which, I mean, that's not the fear. I'm not afraid. It's the like, if I need separate time to myself, which I will, like 100, like that's a given. The fear is that I say, no, I need like time away from you.
Yeah.
And it's not like we need a break from this relationship. I'm not like breaking up with you. No, I need I need me time.
Right.
Over here.
Without you.
Yeah. And so I guess the fear is that they take that, and I guess not specifically you. I really don't think you would do this or think this way, but like they would be offended by me saying that and say like, oh, he doesn't want to be around me.
Well, I think keeping it, because I mean, I can only speak to our relationship. I can't speak for other people, but I think keeping it.
You could try.
I could try. I'm, like I said, I'm talking about our relationship. I don't know other people's lives, but like with us, I think that just stems from having that communication that we do have, and that knowledge of, like, I know that Ethan like loves me. I know that he feels XYZ about me, and the fact that he's asking for this time only means that he's comfortable in this relationship in order to trust me to respect and validate how his needs, you know what I'm saying? Like how you feel. And so, yeah, you're at work for, I don't know, 8 hours a day, and I work and I'm in school and I'm in chunks of time, but like there are going to be times, especially like when you need those recharging points where like, I don't even know where I heard this, but I feel like this is a real thing where people are like...
Was it Cosmo? I bet it was Cosmo.
It was not Cosmo. But it was like when your partner like comes in from the day and like goes in from work, like you just have a couple minutes of just like being each other's presence without being like, and we have to pay this bill and we have to do this. And you just like hang out in silence.
You just kind of relax a little bit.
For like a little bit. Yeah. And it's not just like, oh, like work was sucked and here's all the things that were like bad about my day. Cause like that's one great part about having a partner, I think, is to have like someone who empathizes with you, but then is also there to be like, like rags on that with you. Like it's,
right.
There are like people in my life and things in my life that like you rag on with me because, that's part of the joys of like having a person in your life. But like also I think there's something to be said for just like having that time, like when you come home and you're just like, come, like, I think if we ever do move in together, like coming home won't just be like me coming into the apartment. It'll be like, coming home, being with you. And that's what's the breath of like sigh of relief at the end of the day is like, oh, like I can finally just like be,
Right. I can just relax.
I can just be,
Yeah. I can be.
Yeah.
And do some yoga.
And hang
just
out.
Be.
Exactly. I know you're making fun of me as a
I'm
person,
not
right?
mocking you. I'm not mocking you. I would never. I would not dare.
But yeah, I think that's part of the exciting part of that aspect of relationship is just like that sigh at the end of the day and having that person who gets it. And you've got your girlfriends and you've got your dudes that you text and whatever, but there's just something really, I don't know, special about this kind of relationship, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's I mean, I would define this relationship as different, and not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Most certainly not.
Yeah.
But it's just.
I'm curious what you mean by different, because I don't know what I mean by different, but I don't know if you have a description for it. I don't
know if I do either. It's just it's that different that I don't have a description for it, which makes no sense whatsoever.
It doesn't at all. I don't have a way to describe it. I think it sounds stupid, so I just like don't. People will be. I don't know.
I guess like I can be more of myself around you, or I can be because I think in like if I were to judge myself, I'm not like a complete introvert. It's just I have anxiety that kind of keeps me at a lower introverted level. Mm-hmm. And so that keeps me from being the little bit more so extroverted. But like with you, that anxiety kind of like disappears and I can be a little more extroverted and like actually be my normal self than I am with other people.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really have any kind of words for it ever. I don't know what to say about it. It's just different. And I don't know if that just like, this sounds so stupid and like I hate myself for even like, but like people are always like, you just kind of like feel like when you're with a person who you're like, who just, it's different, if that makes sense. And I was always like, oh, it's different. Like you just
really?
Isn't. And I didn't ever really believe them. And I was like, yeah, oh,
now you're living it.
But I get it. And it doesn't really have an explanation. It's just like, you're the person who I want to be with, and that's that. It's not an anxiety. It's not a, I have to obviously work at it, but I don't have to work at it, if that makes sense. I don't know what.
It doesn't seem as much work
as past relationships. I don't know if that's something that you've experienced, but like I for sure have, is like having to like constantly, and it's just like a toll on like my mental health and like my, like it's just like to work at it and like try XYZ, like it's just not that with you.
It's just not that.
I don't know if you've had similar experiences or not. Well, and this isn't like a shit on the person who you were with before you fest. I'm not intending it to be so.
Most of my relationships, though, I mean, again, we're in middle school and high school. Yeah. So they weren't at a more serious level. Yeah. Than like this one or the previous one. Yeah. And so I guess for most of those relationships, I don't know. I guess like looking at it now, they didn't seem like relationships, like adult relationships. Yeah. They were just more so like I was still immature. Yeah. And so they just weren't on the level that like this kind of relationship is. Yeah. But I mean, I would because you being the extrovert, me being the introvert, I'd be curious to know like what other relationships do or how they interact, like if you have an introvert dating an introvert or vice versa with the extrovert.
And I think it's just kind of, I think it comes down to like what you feel like you want and need in a partner, because I feel like subconsciously we all kind of have these like, I don't know, lists, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like we all have these
all things like we're attracted to or that we would like to see.
Yeah, and so, I have friends who are getting married who are both introverts, and like they need that time, but they get that time together, and that's fine for them. And I have friends who are just like both extroverts, and they're crazy and loud, and they both like compete for attention, and that's beautiful and like a fun group of people to be around. And
you can have all the attention. I don't want it.
Thanks. But yeah, and so, but like competing for attention, but not in a bad way. It's just like they both are funny and loud and try to like, they build off of each other, and that's fun. And I've been in relationships where like that's a reality, and I've dated an extrovert. But there's just something about, God, this sounds so stupid. Like it sounds really dumb, but I think there's just like something about like finding a person that fits, and like you fit, if that makes sense.
Is that why you swiped right?
Always.
Because I fit.
No, I had no idea.
Just
I had no idea who you were at that time. But you just fit. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, it seems right.
And like, it really was just like, we went on our first date, and then like, everything else has just kind of been, that's it.
Yeah, and it just made sense.
Yeah.
Since then.
It sounds stupid though, like when you say it. It does. It sounds stupid, and like I don't like to talk because it's dumb.
I mean, I guess.
Like, I don't know who says stuff like this. Like
people on a podcast.
I guess so.
Of course, talking out their emotions.
Talking out their feelings and emotions.
Their feelings.
I just like didn't know that. This is what it was supposed to feel like, and it's what it feels like. So that's a dumb thing to say.
That bodes well for the future.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. No, it does. It's just, it's bizarre.
Yeah, so listeners, if you're an introvert, extrovert, and you've dated or are currently dating either one of those, or maybe both, it's 2017.
Yeah, dreams.
Yeah, we'd love to hear your stories or your reactions or your thoughts.
Your takes on.
Yeah.
Yeah, or tell us how you feel about us emotionally. I'm curious though. In general, your interactions, I would say, with the opposite sex, with your introversion and extroversion. Like, I'll give you an example of myself, because like in romantic settings, and not even in romantic settings, because like I'm in a very happy, committed relationship. Like, one issue I would say that arrives, or like a snafu that you experience with as an extrovert, is that like people mistake my kindness and my extroversion for flirting, and it's like almost like 9 out of 10. It's 10 out of 10, like never what it is. Like, it's just me being who I am as a person, and people almost always mistake that for me being like flirty or blah, blah. And I'm like, I am not interested in you as a human. Like, I'm just being a kind person, and I don't like what I like hold doors for men, and I like strike up conversations, and I'm a very just like lively individual, and people just like almost 10, and it's so annoying. And it's so annoying, like, when kindness, because I'm kind and like I am outspoken, that people are like, why are you being so flirty? You're so extra. And I'm like, that's just who I am as a person. And I'm like that with like men and women alike. It's not like I like amp it up with the opposite. It's just, and I'm just curious to see like what your, I guess, like trials and tribulations of being an introvert. Like, I guess when you were single, or like even as a, committed relationship or person, if you have any, and maybe you don't, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I have tons. Well, okay, maybe not tons, but
literally
I have
1,000
at least
examples.
7, okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess the main struggle is like if I was going out with friends or something, or maybe like 2 or 3 people that I know, and then maybe another 2 or 3 people that I don't know. So I'm just now meeting them. So we're all hanging out. Me as an introvert, I mean, I am just a very quiet person, and normally that's seen as like I'm weird, or I am just against being social. And so it can be kind of aggravating, because you're very, it could be very frustrating, because you're in these social situations where like I don't mind speaking and talking to you and learning all about you. It's just I'm not that great at being social.
Right.
I mean, that doesn't
like
mean...
I thrive for that shit. Like
I know
if
you
people,
thrive
oh
for
god,
that,
if people are like bringing their significant other or like bringing their best friend, I'm like, oh my god, please tell me like what was your childhood like? Tell me your favorite color. I want to know everything about you. Like, and we like are BFFs by the end of the night, and we're like cell phone numbers exchanged. I'm like, girl, hit me up. We're gonna go get our nails done.
Pals.
We're like
hanging out next day.
We're like already hanging out, and and we were texting earlier because we were like trying to plan out like, oh, what are we gonna talk about on this podcast? And Ethan said something, and he was like, yeah, like that's really hard for me. And I was like, I'm so fascinated to like find out just like the differences between like everyday experiences for extroverts and introverts. Like you had said, like
what was hard for me? Was it the dog?
It was the dog thing.
Oh, okay.
And like for me, I love dogs. Who doesn't? But like Ethan was like, you're more inclined to ask to like stop and pet the dog, and like you'll be all up like talking to the owner and petting the dog, and like I'll just look at it and walk by.
Yeah. Whereas I will just look at the dog, maybe the owner if they're lucky, smile and then walk away.
Yeah, no, I like 12 out of 10 have a conversation. I'm like, oh, what's his name? And then I'm like on the ground, like smooching the dog's face, and I'm like asking about the owner, like how long have you had the dog? Like, oh, like blah blah, and we're and
the next thing you know, you're playing
BFFs.
Monopoly with Karen on a Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. Oh god,
BFFs
it's great.
With Karen.
And I mean, we've had experiences that like when we go out together and there's a couple, or we're talking to the bartender or whatever, and I didn't realize that those weren't experiences that you wouldn't have. Not, I don't mean that in like you wouldn't have them, but like they're just experiences that you're having because I'm a crazy person and I talk to everyone.
You're pretty crazy.
I am.
Yeah, and I think the worst that it gets is when people comment on my introvertedness and my lack of being social.
No, F that though.
Like, well, it's mostly in the form of, why are you being so quiet? And
that's such an annoying question.
It's the most annoying question because how do you respond to that? A, and then B, if I'm being so quiet, why do you think commenting on me being quiet would like somehow make me speak up a lot?
Question. Yeah,
and it's just very frustrating. And it's, I mean, those are my main struggles as an introvert.
Yeah.
But then there's the whole like anxiety part of it where sometimes like I do want to speak up or like talk to people, but then the anxiety part of it worries about what they're going to think that what I'm saying. Like they're going to take it the wrong way or be offended or think I'm even weirder than what I think they're thinking. And like it's
there's
just
like a lot of layers to that.
Yeah, it's this really complex system that like may not even be happening.
Yeah.
Like, those thoughts may not even be in their heads. It's all in my head.
Yeah.
And so it keeps me quiet, basically.
Right.
So like the other day, at work, two people were talking, and I forget what they were talking about, but like I heard an opportunity for me to like comment and make a joke, and like it wasn't anything offensive or anything. I know that, but it was like it was the perfect time for me to like join in on that conversation. But I didn't, because I was like, oh, what if for some weird reason they are offended, or like they don't laugh or they don't hear me, so they don't even respond. And so I didn't say anything.
It's like before you've even said it, you've thought of 12 reasons not to say it. Right.
And it's just very frustrating.
That's so interesting.
So that's the
because
world.
I mean, as an extrovert, like without
you just go do it.
I mean, without even thinking about it, I say it, and then if it's not received well or whatever, I talk so much that like I talk my way out of it.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's kind of a skill that I wish I had, is that not so much as not thinking before I do something, but like if I do something and it doesn't land like what I would prefer it to land as, I wish I had the skill of not being embarrassed about it. Like I could still just keep going and laugh at myself.
Right.
But in reality, what happens is I get like disappointed in myself, and like my face gets red, and I just get super embarrassed, and then I kind of just turn into a hermit. Right.
That's so interesting.
So yeah, that's.
But it's so interesting how just like a very everyday experience is lived out differently by two people who just have different ways of thinking about stuff. And the way that my brother describes me as a human being is very fascinating. And I think my brother and I are very close. And like, I think it's a very keen, like in tune way of like describing me. And he's like, you're very endearing. He was like, you talk a lot and like you're kind of annoying, but not in a bad way. It's just endearing. He was like, because like when you talk to someone, is that my hair?
Yeah, that's your hair.
That's so impressive. And it's all the way over there. He was like, you're not annoying. He was like, but you talk so much, which can be annoying. And he was like, but it's like, you say stuff. He's like, you're just endearing. I don't know how to say it in any other way. And I was like,
you say stuff to make up for the annoying. And
exactly. And it's just like a cycle of chatter. And that makes so much sense to me as a person. I say so many things. So many.
And that's okay.
It's fine.
That's totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, those are my struggles.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, even on our first date, like, I feel like you held up fine.
Well, that was me, I guess, being an introvert that tapped into the extrovert.
Well, what were your, I guess, thoughts when I was so obviously and, like, unapologetically, because it wasn't a normal first date where it was like, hi, I'm Erin, like, I'm a student and I'm studying this. It's like, here's every emotion I felt today. And, like, this is why I felt it, because this girl did this and blah, 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 blah. Like, talking about, like, I feel like I talked to you like I've known you forever, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know something or didn't know what I was talking about, I'd be like, yeah, I was at work and so said this and blah, blah, blah. And here's her story. And, like, I just went into it and, like, we... You know, and like, it's not like I gossiped. It wasn't like a gossip situation, but like, it was just like I talked to you like I had known you forever. And I'm wondering whether, like, what your thoughts on that were. Is that overwhelming?
Well, actually, believe it or not, it was a little more helpful. Because I was worried that, I guess we would be talking about something and then, like, you would stop and then maybe, like, wait for my reaction to it, but then, like, I wouldn't have anything to say, and then it would just kind of stall and be silent. That was my biggest worry about the first date. But then, since, I mean, you kind of kept talking about things, like, not in a bad way, like, but, like, you kept talking about things and kind of, even with little tiny tangents, it gave me more things to, like, grab onto, to give a response to.
Right.
And so it's not like there was just one subject to talk about, and then if I couldn't talk about it, I was like, well, that's kind of out of luck here.
We are.
It was there were like a bunch of different things.
There's that.
So I guess there's that. Yeah, because like I remember you talking about like there were different coffees on the wall, and then like we talked about those, and then like some tangent about the letters in the desk that we mentioned last episode.
True. Yeah.
And so then we talked about those, and then like we made up stories of our own, and then we read some of the notes. And
That's
true.
I also love to play the game of looking at people and making up stories for them. Like, what date are they on? How long have they been dating? Like, I wonder what their life is. He's an actor and she's a ophthalmologist. Just like dumb stuff like that. So I don't know. That's the other thing though, is that like you're also like not afraid. This sounds gross, but like to play with me. You know what I'm saying? Like play along, even though I am crazy, and you know I'll start dancing with you in the middle of a Costco or whatever. I mean, we've never been to Costco.
You've never been to Costco.
I'm just trying to think. I was thinking of places I frequent, but you don't. You know, Target or whatever places that we go together. I'm in Costco all the time. You're not in Costco
all the time. Really, I've never been to Costco
all of
in Maryland.
Literally all of my clothes are from Costco. Yeah, I'm wearing anyway. But yeah, so you know, you're not afraid to like play along with me, or like when at the harbor, like that crazy like big band music was playing, and I just like started spinning around in circles.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And we just start, you're not scared to play. And for as much of an introvert and as much attention as that might draw, like I feel like we get in our own little world of like being together, and I don't think about, oh, how many people are looking at us. I'm like, oh God, we're being, whatever. We're just kind of, playing around, and you're my bud.
You're my bud. We're buddies.
We're BFF. So yeah, you just, that's nice. And to not have someone be like, yeah, stop. Like it's too much. You're embarrassed.
There's so many people looking and watching.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is, like, I do worry about that. Those are things that come into my head. It's just with you, I feel like I can actively ignore them. And not worry about them so much. Yeah. Because, I mean, in the end, it honestly does not matter.
Yeah, I don't think about those things. And, like, it's not like, oh, my God, people are watching. I'm never going to see these people ever again.
Exactly.
You know, I don't.
Except Melissa over there. You might see her again.
Yeah, maybe.
Possibly.
God, Melissa. But, yeah, I don't know. It's just not a thing for me.
Yeah. Yeah, listeners, we really liked chatting on this one, because I know this is kind of a big subject for us, because it kind of
is us.
It is us. Yeah. It defines our relationship, and then it's also a subject, I mean, we'll be talking about and discussing. I mean, probably, I don't know about on the podcast, but like just with each other in real life a lot.
I mean, these are the conversations that when we have more serious conversations, these are the kind of things we talk about.
Because this is us hanging out.
Yeah, it's really what it is.
Yeah, it's our personalities coming together.
Yeah.
So we have to talk about it.
Yeah.
Even if we didn't want to. So yeah, listeners, if you, again, if you're an introvert or extrovert, and you have stories or thoughts or reactions to what we've said or anything you just want to tell us, we'd love to read about it, love to hear about it. I should probably set up an email address first. That might be helpful.
It's true, but it'll probably be knowyou@gmail.com.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Send it to knowyou@gmail.com.
And if that's taken, it's some random person's
just
gonna
choose
hear
a
your
random,
story.
just hear that, or just choose a random number, put it after Know You.
We'll figure it out. We'll get a better one.
Yeah. And so we hope you had a really good Valentine's Day. We hope you had a really good Thursday. We did.
Yeah.
Watching Shameless. It's a great show.
And we ate
recommend
brownie.
it. We ate a brownie that was a gift.
It was not
a gift. It was a gift. Okay, bye.